Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna and welcome to all the devotees online. Thank you very much for your kind presence as we continue associating with Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 6, verses 11 to 26, Creation of the Universal Form. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sanjeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavari Pastatyastavine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastra Piyusha Sarva Vedeka Sakala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokayatri Prada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidwando Aditya Shri Krishna Parivartita O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churn from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most prominent translator of all the Vedas, O you enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O light breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshasharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namaste. O Srimad Bhagavatam, offer respectful obeisance unto you. By reading, you one attains transcendental bliss. By your syllabus rain pure love God upon the reader. Your voice to be served by everyone. For your incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madekabando Mad Sangye Mad Guru Mad Mahadana Mad Nishtaraka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. Asadu sadhu tadaina tini chochatara kahana muchakada chinmam premna rikatayospura. O Srimad Bhagavatam, give us saintly, Mr. Unsaintly, who uplifted the very fallen. Please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest in my heart, my throat, accompanied pure love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yatonvayadi Taratas Swabhigna Swarat Tene Brahma Hidayadi Kavaye Muyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yaktati Sargo Mrisha Yamna Svena Sadani Rastakuakam Satyam Param Dhimai. O my Lord Shri Krishna Vasudeva, O pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance to you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primal cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by illusory representation of water seen, fire, land seen on water. Only because of him that the material universe is temporarily manifest by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because I meditate on Lord Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Parayana Alpaisha Sabya Kalabasmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagyupadata. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, made but short lives, a quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Narayana Namaskritya Narachevam Naratamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance to the person of the God in Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, the supreme human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Savai Pumsa Parodharmo Yato Bhakti Radoksha Jaya Haituke Pratyata Yatma Suprisiddhati. The supreme occupation dharma of all men, it is that by which men can enter into loving devotional service with the trans Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jana Yatyus Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadahitakam. By rendering devotional service unto the person of God as Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causes knowledge of detachment from the world. Vadanti tattatta vidas tattam yajnana madvem brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti savyate. Learn the transcendentalism, know the absolute truth, called as non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma Bhagavan. Shrishodhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchisyan Mahatsaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana Utwise sponsors by serving those devoted completely free from all vice. Great service is done by such service. One gains plenty for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Shanunvadam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ryadantastoya Badrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Shri Krishna, the personal Godhead, who is Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the true devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotees, develop the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues and properly heard and chanted. Nastaprayasha Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamaslokir Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. By regular attendance in classes in Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all their stubbornness to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the person of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, established in irrevocable fact. Etavan Sankhya Yoga Bhyam Swadharmam Parinishtaya Janmalabha Param Pumsam Ante Narayana Smriti, the highest perfection of human life, achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic power, by perfect discharge of occupational duties to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. Akama Sarva Kama Va Moksha Kama Udariti Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajite Purusham Param. The person who has broad intelligence, where they be full of all material desires, without any material desires, with desire and deliberation, must by all means worship the supreme hope, the personality of God. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Hare Krishna and welcome back. Anyone has any feedback or reflections from last week's session, please share in the chat before we continue this week's session. We are hearing about the Virat Rupa, which we have heard about from the first canto, the second canto. It's coming up in the third canto again. And in the second canto, we heard how the Virat Rupa is the first stage of spiritual progress. And people have this concept, or they're attached to the material nature, its beauty, its glory, its power, its majesty. Just like when you go to the ocean and you see every time I go to the ocean, at least, the majesty of that ocean, the power of that ocean. That is a fragmental potency of Krishna. So like that, people who are on the first stage of spiritual understanding or self-realization, God realization, they appreciate nature and they see the supreme power through the agency of material nature. They glorify God through the potency, the beauty, the power of material nature. And the Bhagavatam is saying this is conducive for progress. This is how they can make progress, make further progress. Shamananda Prabhu says, nice example you gave, Prabhu, to explain the leaving Krishna Loka, mother telling the child to not worry about that. And now, yes, there are more urgent things that we should be focusing on than worried about history, even though history has its purpose. But the example is always given, right? That when you're driving a car, there's the rear view mirror and there's the big windscreen. The windscreen is far, far larger than the rear view mirror. And you got side mirrors, you got rear view mirror, and you got the windscreen. So the rear view mirror is small, meaning that, yes, we should note what happened in the past, but it's not the focus. The focus is the huge windscreen. The focus is moving forward. But why is that windscreen there? It's so that we can see the back. That means we can learn the lessons, remember the lessons which we've gone through. Don't repeat that mistake. So we need to reflect the past, learn, apply so we can move forward. And the left and right mirror is always there to keep us not, making sure, watch the obstacle on this side, watch the obstacle on that side, just keep ahead, keep moving straight ahead to the goal. Otherwise, we can get caught up. You will find that those, it's in all fields, there's always this aspect of mindset, even in spiritual life. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks a lot about the mind, the right mindset we need to have. So, due to our nature, sometimes our own nature is an obstacle to progress. Like some people, if they don't get an answer, then that becomes a showstopper. Whereas it is mentioned and described that if you don't understand something, or something cannot be explained right now, it's not the end of the world. Just put it on the back burner. Just keep it there. Leave it there. Focus on things that you can understand. Embrace those things you can embrace. Apply the process relative to your nature, relative to what you can embrace, what you like to do. And those things that are a little too difficult beyond your capacity, just leave it on the back burner. You will, in due course of time, be able to understand those things. So like that, we should apply our spiritual life. Also, another example about a child throwing tantrums and a parent giving item, although not wanting to question with Krishna not forcing us. Yes. We like to throw tantrums also. And Krishna knows that. Sometimes people say, but why can't Krishna take me back home? Why can't Krishna just do this? Because deep inside you don't want it. You do not want it. This is the challenge. Or our enthusiasm may be very flickering in the beginning, or in now, or at certain moments. I want to be Krishna conscious. I want to go back home. And then a few minutes later, I still got things to sort out. I still got a lot of. Can we hang on? There's that story of Narad Muni visiting one devotee, and he says, I'm still young. When I'm just finishing my schooling. When after my schooling, then maybe we can consider. Now Muni comes again after some time. Well, I finished my school. I just need to go in university, finish my university. Now Muni comes a little later. I finished my university. I just need to get a job. Just got a job. Few more years, 5 more years. Then he got married. I just got married, and he got children. And it goes on and on. And eventually, when Narad Muni comes one day, he's dead, left this world. And then the story continues. He meets the soul as in the body of a dog. And even then, he's protecting the house, etc. So this is the challenge that we have. Slumber during dissolution. The Lord reduces our suffering. Don't allow us to remember. Yes. Nice explanation of a universe manifestation. Living entity taking the role of Brahma. So we're hearing about the creation Krishna is adventurous. This creation is not just, it's like when they talk about the Big Bang, it's like there was an explosion and now this creation is there. But it's far from the truth. When we hear about the description, the details of what's going through, and if somebody's got a little common sense, what's the probability of Srila Vyasadeva as a poet to compose 18,000 verses? Many of the verses are focusing on creation, and there's so much details on that creation with so much systematic and non-contradictory points. Because if somebody has to speculate, they would generally speculate on a specific topic, limited, restricted, and it can't go further. If it goes further, it starts to contradict other statements in that writing. Here we see Vyasadeva giving so much detail in the Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami is giving so much detail to Maharaj Parikshit. And then we find other saintly personalities who are realized, giving the same details. So the truth is the truth. And it's eternally the truth. Mother Lash, Hare Krishna Bhava. It's wrong to not worship Krishna, but not everyone realizes it. We are fortunate to get access to this knowledge. All glory to Prabhupada and Parampara. Shri Krishna to you and Prabhu Maharaji. Yes. Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanamante. Takes many, many births to come to the stage of realizing Krishna. Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. And then to worship Krishna. So the fact that we've come to this stage is no ordinary feat. And sure enough, the credit is not due to our own effort. Without Prabhupada's mercy, we wouldn't be anywhere. So no doubt, Prabhupada coming into our life has definitely given us so much spiritual credits and taken us so far in our spiritual journey than what we would have ordinarily have achieved on our own, without doubt. And if we understand, grateful for that, and we continue with the same or even greater enthusiasm, then the future just becomes better, better, and better. It's like if you embracing the truth, there is absolutely no question of experiencing negativity as you embrace the truth greater and greater and greater. It's like going to the sun. If I am moving towards the sun, will I be experiencing greater and greater heat and more light? Or the opposite? If I'm slowly moving closer and closer to the sun, let's say I'm going now, if I have a spaceship or, I can fly like Prabhupada in, I think it was in Germany, somewhere. Prabhupada made the point he was walking on the sun ray, because the yogis can actually climb the sun ray. They can climb on the sun ray. It's one of the siddhis, one of the potencies. So Prabhupada mentioned he was testing it out. So consider if, like the yogi, you can go walk on the sun ray. Now, if you're walking on the sun ray, And the closer you go to the sun, what you're going to experience? Greater and greater heat, more and more light. You can't experience anything else. You can't say, oh, I'm moving closer to the sun and it's feeling dark. No. You must be an owl. Or you're moving in some other planet. Moving towards some other planet. So if we're moving towards the truth, you have to. There is no question of you not experiencing the truth. Many devotees, including proper disciples, they would clearly tell you. Just like Bhakti Charmaj also, he would say, if you give me a philosophy that's greater than the Bhagavatam, I'll embrace it. Why not? I want the best, I want the greatest. If you can give me a philosophy that here is a philosophy far superior than your Bhagavatam, why wouldn't I embrace it? I'll be a fool not to, because I want the truth. I want the greatest. We have the greatest. We have the chief commander. We have the chief scripture. We have the chief mantra. We have the chief personalities. Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya. We have the chief acharyas in our line. The most intimate, closest associates of Radha and Krishna. What else do we want? The most beautiful process. We don't seriously, sincerely embrace this process. Completely. What's the statement say? Like something with sink. Like complete, there's actually a slogan that they use. I only got the sink. Where is that? A few words coming. That's there. It's like wholeheartedly. Everything. No reservation. We have to experience the truth. And the truth will experience according to how Krishna wants us to experience it. Whether it's tiny, little realizations, or whether it's graphical realizations, revelations, however. But you cannot stick on the truth, on the path of truth, and not experience something. It cannot be the case. Right, let us continue. So, 11 to 26, manifestation of different demigods from the universal form. Text 11. Atatasya bitaptasya katidhyayatan naniha nira bidyanta devanam tani me gadata shruno. Maitreya said, you may now hear from me how the Supreme Lord separated himself into the diverse forms of the demigods after the manifestation of the gigantic universal form. So here we see a verse where it says the Lord separated himself, expanded himself, manifested himself as a demigod. Now, when you take this in isolation, what does it mean? Can we worship the demigods? If we take this in isolation, if I don't look at anything else but just this verse, can I worship the demigods? Anyone in the chat? Can I worship the demigods if I take this specific verse in isolation? Yes, I can. Why? Because because the demigods, they are expansions of the Supreme Lord. So, yeah, No problem. But the problem is you're taking a verse out of context. And because you are taking this out of context, clearly it is not, you're not going to get the desired result. So, therefore, we need to not just take things in isolation. Yes, we need to understand the context. And at the same time, we need to understand the totality of the Vedas. Srila Prabhupada, the Acharyas, they've understood the totality of the Vedas. And because they have understood the totality of the Vedas, therefore, they can give us the truth. And we immediately understand and realize the truth. Yes, Krishna is expanding, but we also expansions. The material nature is also expansions. All the energies are expansions of Krishna. But that doesn't make the energies Krishna. They are part and parcel. They are one and different. Because they connected to Krishna, they're non-different to Krishna. But at the same time, because they are part and parcel of Krishna, they're not the whole. And Prabhupada would give you examples like gold from a gold ring and a gold mine. The drop of water from the ocean and the ocean itself. They're both salty. They're both gold. But the quantity is totally different. The demigods are fragmental parts of Krishna. They're not complete. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. The demigods are separated parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, as are all other living entities. The only difference between the demigods and the ordinary living entities is that when the living entities are rich in pious acts of devotional service to the Lord, and when their desire to lord it over material energy has vanished, they are promoted to the post of demigods, who are entrusted by the Lord with executing the management of the material of the universal affairs. So we are part and parcel, the demigods are part and parcel. The demigods have punya. They have piety. They have great piety. You get material piety and you get spiritual piety. When you see, like, there are those who effortlessly make money. There are those who effortlessly have knowledge. There are those who are effortlessly beautiful, effortlessly healthy. Why do they get those results without great effort? It's only because of their piety. Without piety, piety is called subtle wealth. You get gross wealth that we see, and then you get subtle wealth. Without subtle wealth, you can't get gross wealth. If you look at all the wealth building causes, mentors out there, if they're to actually show you the statistics of how many people take their causes and systems, and how many actually successful, the percentage will be very small. So therefore, they don't reveal that. What they reveal, they'll only reveal the success stories. They don't reveal the failure stories. Why? Because not everyone's got sukriti, not everyone's got piety. Because piety, you need to build, you need to create. Punya Shravana Kirtanya. By hearing the glories of Krishna, you automatically get piety. This morning we listened to a class of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada's making the point that we need to read these verses, learn these verses. Why? Because by doing this, this is punya. This is how you get spiritual credits. When you get spiritual credits, you get material credits as a bonus automatically. So the demigods, they got great piety. That is why they're in that position. Now, if you want that position, no problem. You just have to stop lording it over material energy. Stop enjoying the material energy. Rather take the material energy and offer it to Krishna. Give pleasure to Krishna. And if you do that, you start gaining piety. Now, we're not interested in the post of demigods. We want to go back to the eternal service of the divine couple. So therefore, whatever we do, we are also sacrificing, but we're sacrificing for greater service to the Supreme Lord. We distribute Krishna Prasadam. It seems like humanitarian work, but because we are serving Prasad, then that is spiritual, devotional credits that we get. We also, giving people entertainment, chanting, dancing, feasting. But because it's spiritual activity, we get devotional credits. Because we're not interested just in elevation to the demigods position. Prabhupada gives the example. We're not interested in going to, from a C-class prison to an A-class prison cell. No. We want to get out of prison. We want to go back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So our intention is totally different. 12. Tasyagnir ashyam niribinam lokapalo vishatpadam padam vacha swamsena vyaktavyam yayaso pratipadyate. Agni, or heat, separated from his mouth, and all the directors of material affairs entered into it in their respective positions. By that energy, the living entity expresses himself in words. Now, as I mentioned, if you had to speculate on something, for you to be coherent, for you to be systematic, for you to be non-contradictory will be very difficult. See how systematic, how detailed these verses are describing demigods expending from the Virat Rupa very systematically all the different aspects. Because we know, we heard that every part of this body is controlled by a demigod. Every single functioning of this body. A demigod is in charge of my eyelid movements. A demigod is in charge of my hand movements. A demigod is in charge of my mouth. Every facet of this body is overseen by a certain demigod. All the different material elements are overseen by different demigods. There are hundreds of departments. Just like in a government, there are so many departments managing so many different departmental affairs. This material creation is vast. Prabhupada would speak about the departments. Like if you got a country, in a country, which are the most important departments? Well, first and foremost, Defense Department. If the boundaries of the country are not protected from negative elements, you're not going to be safe. We, in our own small abodes, doing what we have to do, continue with life, but we don't really appreciate what's going on the borders of South Africa or wherever we stay. There are soldiers who are sacrificing their life protecting us. And that's why Bhagavatam says everybody is indebted in different ways. And we don't appreciate that, or we're not grateful for that. So, first department, defense. Now, in the universal affair, we have a defense department. And who is in charge of defense? Anyone can tell us, in the universal affairs, who's in charge of the defense department? Kartikeya? Kartikeya is not in charge of the defense department. He is the chief commander in the defense department. He is the chief commander in the defense department. Who's overseeing the defense department? Just see, you are living in the material creation and you don't know who's in charge of our department. You have to know this. Who's in charge of our defense department? Is it Shiva? Nope, not even Lord Shiva. He's in charge of the demolition department. He's in charge of the destruction department, not the defense department. So the defense department is overseen by Mother Durga. Mother Durga is in charge of the defense department. Now, in every government, yes, in every government, we also have the finance department so that budgets can be allocated. And sure enough, who is in charge of the finance department in this universal creation? Everybody knows who's in charge of finance. I need favor from the finance department. Mother Lakshmi. So Mother Lakshmi is in charge of the finance department. And every department in every country, there also has to be an education department. So who's in charge of the education department in the universal affairs? Minister of Education in the universal affair is Mother Saraswati. Now, just see, Mother Durga, Mother Lakshmi, Mother Saraswati. The females are in charge of the three most powerful departments in the universal affair. Who says we have something with women? The mothers are in charge of the three most powerful departments in creation. Prabhus can learn from them. They're Shaktis, the energies of the Lord. So, this is Krishna. He could have done anything. He could have put all males in power. But no. Why did Krishna do that? There must be a lesson. The lesson is Shakti is also powerful. And yes, we also Shaktis, even male or female, everybody is in essence of a feminine energy. But the point is that systematically everything is created. Everyone is in charge, or all the demigods are in charge of all these different faculties. So here, Agni, or heat, is coming from his mouth. And the energy to speak, the energy to communicate is coming from the Lord. As we go through these verses, we should reflect that we are not independent. If we think we're independent, we are in the greatest of illusion. We are dependent on at every point in our life. The mouth of the gigantic universal form of the Lord is the source of the speaking power. The director of the fire element is the controlling deity, or the Adideva. The speeches delivered are Adhyatma, or bodily function, and the subject matter of speeches is material production, or the Adibhuta principle. So you will see this philosophy, this principle will be applied across. You're going to get the controlling deity, Adideva. You're going to get the function, Adhyatma, and then you're going to get the result or the output, which is Adibhuta principle. Demigod in charge of speech, Agni, speaking power, words, communication, and mouth functioning as using or speech facilities and faculties of speaking. Prabhupada would make the point that, oh, you say you're an atheist? You say there is no God. Who's giving you the power to say there is no God? That is God. Here we see the gigantic universal form, which is an expansion from Garbhagrisai Vishnu, who came from Mahavishnu, who came from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He is empowering you to speak. So that person who you say doesn't exist, he is giving you the power to say he doesn't exist. He's giving you the power for you to say he doesn't exist. How can you say he doesn't exist? So Prabhupada would use that point. That person who is giving you the power to say yes or no is Krishna. 13. Nirbinam talu varuno lokapalo vishaddare jiva yam sena charasam yashaso pratipadyate. When the palate of the gigantic form was separately manifested, Varuna, the director of water in the planetary systems, entered a day in, and thus the living entity has the facility to taste everything with his tongue. So here we find taste, water and taste. For you to taste anything, you need saliva. You need water. So when we drinking anything, when we tasting anything, without Varuna's control, we will not be able to appreciate or taste anything. In this morning's lecture, Prabhupada also saying, Krishna consciousness, so beautiful, so wonderful process. Even a drunkard can make progress. Prabhupada speaking in America, he says, I know in your country there are many drunkards. And you tell the drunkards, oh, you like the taste? Yeah, that taste is Krishna. Rasahom apsukontaya. That taste is Krishna. And just by them thinking like, oh, this taste is Krishna, so nice, Prabhupada said they'll become devotees in the future. Such a nice process. So that taste, how is that taste coming? What is the functioning of the taste? If you look at even this body, the mechanism, the functioning, how everything is working so systematically in this body, it's amazing. I had seen one documentary of the eye. The documentaries that I was seeing, basically the documentaries were revealing higher intelligence, or rather the topic was intelligence, designed by intelligence. That means if you look at creation, it's clear that there's higher intelligence involved, because you cannot create this mechanism, this body, without intelligence. It doesn't gel. So there were this specific documents analyzing the eye. And naturally, just from the information that we currently have from a scientific and biological perspective, the more they went into the functioning of the eye, the revelation, the depth of intelligence incorporated in the mechanism of the eye was mind-boggling. It's like you think, wow. For somebody to have engineered the eye to facilitate, to take care of so many intricacies, it's amazing. Did you ever wonder, for example, there's so many bacteria flying around. So obviously they must be flying in your eye. And Krishna's made a perfect mechanism that they don't impact you. He's made a shield in different ways to protect you from these things. And it's all automatic. We don't even notice, oh, there's one bacteria, oh, there's one virus, oh, there's one. Nope, it doesn't hit and you get derailed every time. No. Super Soul is making all arrangements. Prabhupada gave another example, especially when you go to Vrindavan, India, Mayapur, all these swampy areas, you see large swamp of mosquitoes, especially when there's a light. You see large swamp of mosquitoes. And Prabhupada said, just see all these mosquitoes buzzing and they're all flying around. But you don't see them crashing. Nobody crashes. No mosquito crashes. How? I mean, they must be communicating with each other, because they're flying so fast and yet they don't crash. How come they don't crash? Prabhupada says, because Super Soul is directing. So we don't realize how all these faculties, how all these aspects are being controlled, are being governed and provided to us for what? So that we can exploit the material energy. Why? Because that's what we want. And in turn, we suffer. Or we could appreciate, understand that actually I'm part and parcel of Krishna. I have to serve Krishna. And how wonderful that if Krishna is providing all the faculties, organization, abilities, even for a deviant soul, for a soul who does not want to serve Krishna, just consider what he will do and how he will provide and how he will protect those who dedicate their life to Krishna. Because he is not ungrateful. Krishna is extremely grateful. It's one of the qualities, 64 qualities of Krishna. Kritagya. Krishna is very, very grateful. And in Nectar Devotion, Prabhupada, in relation to this quality of gratefulness, Prabhupada writes that Krishna never ever forgets anyone who chants his holy names. It's a powerful statement. Krishna never ever forgets anyone chants his holy name. Text 14. Nirbine Ashvino Nase Vishno Avishatam Padam Grira Nenam Se Nagandasya Pratipatiryato Bhavet. When the Lord's two nostrils separately manifested themselves, the dual Ashwini Kumaras entered them in their proper positions. And because of this, the living entities can smell the aromas of everything. So who's in charge of smelling? Ashwini Kumaras. In Ayurveda, we'll find that different prayers, remedies are also connected and related to the demigods in charge of different organs. So here the Ashwini Kumaras are in charge of two nostrils, and we are able to smell. And if we don't have piety, or we engaged in some sinful reactions, and you're meant to lose the ability to smell, then the super soul will direct the Ashwini Kumaras that I'm not giving sanction for smelling. The demigods would then deactivate your smelling sense, and you can't smell anything. This is how the cooperation works between the demigods, super soul, and your karmic reactions. It's not by chance. Oh, shame, you lost the sense of smell. Bad luck. No, it's got nothing to do with bad luck. It is karmic reaction according to your past. And there's a system of management, system hierarchy in terms of who's authorizing, who's sanctioning, who's managing, who's controlling. 15. Nirbine akshini twasta lokapalo vishadvibo chakshusham shena rupanam pratipatiryato bhavet. Thereafter, the two eyes of the gigantic form of the Lord were separately manifested. The sun, the director of light, entered them with the partial representation of eyesight, and thus the living entities can have vision of forms. There are certain exercises you can do to improve your eyesight by looking at the sun. I'm not sure how many of you, when I was in school, I was taught this. This is a specific, like, mechanism. I don't know if we can call it maybe a mudra, but like, it's basically a way you create your hands like this, and then you look at the sun through this. If you look at the sun directly, you will hurt your eyes. But if you do this, and then you look at the sun, what will happen is you'll be able to see the sun. It will not hurt your eyes, and the rays will move away. Even if you make a small hole like this just to see, doesn't need to be specific like that. Now, when you have a small slight hole and you see the rays move, and you only see the sun, clean, the globe. And that's also healthy for the eyes. All these faculties, all these demigods, they're all coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are dependent on all these faculties. 16. Nirbinanya asya charmani lokapalo nilo vishat pranena sena samsparshan yena so pratipadyate. When there was manifestation of skin separated from the gigantic form, Anila, the deity directing the wind, entered with partial touch, and thus the living entities can realize tactile knowledge. So skin and touch. 17. Karnav asya karnasya vinirbino dishyam swam vivishu disham stotrenam sena sabdasya siddhim yena prapadyate. When the ears of the gigantic form became manifested, all the controlling deities of the directions entered into them with the hearing principles by which all living entities hear and take advantage of sound. Report. The ear is the most important instrument in the body of the living entity. So it's interesting. We are hearing about all the creation of all the different organs and the demigods systematically. And of all that is created, hundreds, thousands, millions of functioning faculties that we have no clue about and we have clues about. Prabhupada is emphasizing the most important instrument of the body, ears. So heed this instruction carefully. Sound is the most important medium for carrying the message of distant and unknown things. The perfection of all sound or knowledge enters through the ears and makes one's life perfect. The entire Vedic system of knowledge is received by oral reception only, and thus sound is the most important source. We are given the most powerful mantra form of sound. Hare Krishna mantra. You have 2 ears, 1 mouth. One reason is because I can now hear 360 degrees, but I can only eat from the front. But more importantly, is I got 2 ears to hear more than I speak. So I need to use the most important instruments to do what? To hear Krishna Katha. And Prabhupada is saying the perfection of all sound or knowledge enters through the ears and makes one's life perfect. That means if I hear well, I can perfect my life. 18. Twacham asya vinirbinam vishur dishyam shodi amsena roma did kandum yer aso pratipadyate. When there was a separated manifestation of skin, the controlling desires, the controlling deities of sensation and their different parts entered into it. And thus the living entities feel itching and happiness due to touch. So there may not be one deity, there may be multiple deities controlling different faculties. Can you imagine? For Krishna to, let's say, create the creation, he had to have a plan. Just like if you want to create a business, you need to have a plan, business plan. If you want to create this creation, you better have a plan. The plan needs to be very detailed, very systematic. It's not like Krishna, it's like he's like, oh, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have known. Krishna's got a detailed plan, perfect plan, all synchronized, all perfect to the T. in one lecture, Prabhupada was making the point, a yogi or somebody wanted to know about how, all knowledge about creation. And he went to Lord Brahma and he said, please, I want to know what all the details of this creation. Brahma said, not a good idea. No, I want to know. It's dangerous. No, I want to know. Tatastu. And all that knowledge went in his head and exploded. It cannot be contained. It's too vast. Only Krishna can do this. All the details. For sense perception, there are two principal items, touch and itching. And both of them are controlled by skin and hair on the body. According to Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, the controlling deity of touch is the air passing within the body. And the controlling deity of the hair on the body is Oshadya. For the skin, the object of perception is touch. And for the hair on the body, the object of perception is itching. 19. Medram tasya vinirbinam swadishya yam ka upavisat retasam sena yeshan ye nashav anandam pratipadyate. When the genitals of the gigantic form separately became manifest, then Prajapati, the original living creature, entered into them with his partial semen, and thus the living entities can enjoy sex pleasure. 20. Gudam pumsam vinirbinam mitro lokshena avishat ayunam sena yeshano ye naso visargam pratipadyate. The evacuating channels separately became manifested, and the director named Mitra entered into it with partial organs of evacuation. Thus, the living entities are able to pass stool and urine. Imagine if Krishna did not provide this faculty and facility. There would be dead ends. So Krishna thought of everything. Nothing was left out. Perfect. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Krishna is complete, and from Krishna, all complete manifestations appear. One of the complete manifestations that appear is this human body, and this human body is perfect in its design. It has inputs, it has outputs, everything for sustainable lifestyle. Astav asya vinirbinav indra swar patir avishat varta yam sena purusho yaya vritim prapadyate. Day after, when the hands of the gigantic form separately became manifest, Indra, the ruler of heavenly planets, entered into them, and thus the living entity is able to transact business for his livelihood. So if somebody needs to work, they have to be grateful to Indra. They have to be grateful to the Virat Rupa. They have to be grateful to Krishna. Because without them, we would not be able to do our business of livelihood. 22. Padavasya vinirbina lokesho vishnur vishat gatya swamshena purusho yaya prapyam prapadyate. Day after, the legs of the gigantic form separately became manifest, and the demigod named Vishnu, not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, entered with partial movement. This helps the living entity move to his destination. When you have to use your legs to go from A to B, you need the blessings of a demigod called Vishnu. This is not the Supreme Lord. So, right? Again, we are dependent for all our bodily functions. Buddhim chasya vinirbhinam vag ishodishyam avishat bodhenam sena bodhavyam pratipatiryato bhavet. When the intelligence of the gigantic form separately became manifest, Brahma, the Lord of the Vedas, entered into it with the partial power of understanding, and thus an object of understanding is experienced by the living entities. So Brahma is in charge of intelligence, power of understanding. Hridayam chasya nirbhinam chandrama dishyam avishat mana shamsena yena so vikriyam pratipadyate. After that, the heart of the gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered the moon demigod with partial mental activity. Thus, the living entity can conduct his mental speculations. So the heart manifested, controlling deity, moon, activity, mental activity. Sometimes people ask the question, where is the seat of the mind? So the mind's seat is the region of the heart, but its influence pervades the whole subtle body. 25. Atma nam chasya nirbinam abhinano vishat padam karmana sena yesna so kartavyam pratipadyate. Thereafter, the materialistic ego of the gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered Rudra, control of false ego, with his own partial activity by which the living entities transact his objective actions. So your identity, your ego identity, this is coming from Rudra, the controlling deity. The false ego of the materialistic identity is controlled by the demigod Rudra, an incarnation of Lord Shiva. Rudra is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord who controls the mode of ignorance within material nature. The activities of false ego are based on the objective of the body and the mind. Most persons conducted by the false ego are controlled by Lord Shiva. When one reaches a finer version of ignorance, he falsely thinks of himself as the Supreme Lord. That egoistic conviction of the conditioned soul is the last snare of the illusory energy which controls the entire material world. To think you are the enjoyer. See, Prabhupada's last point, the egoistic conviction of the conditioned soul is the last snare of the illusory energy which controls the entire material world. Everybody has this abhiman, that I am the enjoyer, I am the controller, I'm the proprietor. This is the identification that one is the supreme. Because Bhoktaram Yagyata Tapasam, Sarva Loka Maheshwara. Krishna is the only enjoyer, the proprietor, the benefactor. So if anybody has this mentality, it means they're controlled by false ego. Or they have, they've controlled, they have this false ego. And this false ego is controlled by Rudra. Rudra is expansion of Lord Shiva. There are 10 Rudras that manifest from Lord Shiva. 26. Sattvam chasya vinirbhinam mahandisyam upavishat chite nam sena yesh naso vignanam prati padyate. Thereafter, when his consciousness separately manifested itself, the total energy, Mahatattva, entered with his conscious part. Thus, the living entity is able to conceive specific knowledge. And thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of this specific section of the Bhagavatam. You can see Prabhupada didn't expand. There's obviously not many purports in these set of verses. And I didn't want to go to the next set because we would have not have completed that in the next 30 or 40 minutes, because we're doing it in sections. So Prabhupada is obviously, it's clear because Prabhupada would expand and give purports where necessary. Here we find many of these purports didn't have verses or didn't have expansions or purports by Prabhupada, meaning they're straightforward. There shouldn't be any contradiction. There shouldn't be any clarification. Some of them Prabhupada would give a small excerpt. So you notice no purports means straightforward. There shouldn't be any issue. From the Virat Rupa, that specific organ expands. When that organ expands, the deity expands, the function expands, the living entity can now perform that function. As the living entity has the organ, and the living entity has the controlling deity, the living entity can perform the function. Straightforward. Some purports Prabhupada is, or some verses Prabhupada is giving a small purport. Whereas if you find, for example, in Canto 2, we covered certain purports, certain verses, Prabhupada gave 2-3 pages of purports. So that also tells us the emphasis, the importance. When Prabhupada is giving extensive purports, it means don't miss that purport. Because he's conscientiously expanding or understanding that this is a need. So these verses that we covered were very clear. We are interdependent. We are dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If anyone is thinking I can do anything and everything on my own, they are in illusion. And because we are dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we need to thank the Supreme Lord. We need to submit to the Supreme Lord. And the more we submit ourselves, understanding that there is no other alternative. If you think you're independent, that's false ego. If you want to live independent, you will suffer. So the only option is to align to your nature. And our nature is we are part and parcel. Just like Prabhupada gives the example, always gives this example. The part of the body is meant to serve the whole. The part of a vehicle is meant to serve the vehicle. When the fingers, the different bodily parts, when they went on strike complaining, why should we serve the body? Why should we put food into the mouth? We want to enjoy. If after some time of rioting, torturing, we're not going to serve the mouth. Eventually they understood, oops, if we don't serve the mouth, we suffer. Our welfare is in serving the mouth. So similarly, our welfare is in serving Vishnu's interest, Krishna's interest. And if we do that, then there's harmony. If we don't do that, there's disharmony. So these verses very, very clearly are directing us to that. And as we go through many sections of the Bhagavatam, they would instill the proper understanding and the quality of submission, the quality of surrender, the quality of being grateful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this way, as we submit ourselves more and then eventually completely, the Lord can then open up and reveal greater and greater aspects of the truth. Vanturat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitaya Go Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol. Any questions or comments anyone has? Any reflections? All good. Shivanand, thanks, Prabhu and Maraji, for enlightening class. Amazing verses. Yes, amazing verses to reflect. We are not independent. Madalash, Hare Krishna, thanks so much for a wonderful question, Kata. If someone is deaf and can read the Mahamantra but never hear it, do they get less benefit if all other things remain equal? Or because Mahamantra is non-different from the Absolute, then whether heard, read, it's similar benefit received? Yes, they get the same benefit. Because why? It's not so much your external ear that's hearing, it's your subtle ear that's hearing. And that goes into a gross sense, to your subtle sense, and then to the heart. So even if somebody is deaf, they'll benefit from the Mahamantra, because the Mahamantra is not gross sound. It is Krishna. It is spiritual sound. So therefore, that spiritual sound goes in. Sometimes we can hear, sometimes we got ears and we don't hear. So yes, any Prabhupada would make the point, anyone, even people who are unconscious, when you play the Mahamantra, it's going deep. Somebody's in coma, you're playing the Mahamantra, it's going deep. You can't see the external gross effect. Internally, Krishna's there. Krishna's manifesting. Krishna's making. Krishna's purifying. Yes. So immaterial. Whether you can hear, you can't hear, the Mahamantra is beyond gross boundaries. Why? Because you can't stop Krishna. Krishna is beyond gross boundaries. And therefore the Mahamantra, non-different from Krishna, is also beyond gross boundaries. And the impact is relative to Krishna and the intention of the person. See, we all hear the Mahamantra, but we all don't become purified in the same intensity. Why? Because everyone's intention is unique, is of different capacity. So therefore, as you surrender to me, I reward you accordingly. So according to your intention, Krishna responds accordingly. If your intention is inattention, Krishna is inattentive. If your intention is attentive, understanding Krishna is present in the form of the holy name, Krishna is there, being grateful, being submissive, being attentive, then Krishna responds accordingly. It's not black and white. Krishna is apapavidam, but the degree of our focus, our attention, our intention, all plays a role. Our devotion, our sentiment, our desire, this all plays a role. And that's why the process of Krishna consciousness is fine-tuning why you are chanting Hare Krishna, fine-tuning how to chant Hare Krishna. That's why Prabhupada said, chanting Hare Krishna is simple, but you have to learn the art of chanting Hare Krishna. So why did Prabhupada emphasize learning the art of chanting Hare Krishna? If it's so simple, everyone just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Simple, done. But no, there's an art behind it. What's the art? It's how to chant. What is the inner mood, the intention, the focus, the absorption, the reflection, the thoughts that are going on? The background. What's happening in the background? On the foreground, your mouth is moving, your hands are moving, your fingers are moving. Words are coming out. But what's happening in the background? If you are not attentive of that, if you're not fine-tuning that, then you're not going to get the desired result. So, yes, chanting is all-powerful, but the application needs to be perfected. Interesting class. Understand this great mechanical body so much better. Yes. And this is only a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what is there. Because if we have to know every detail, it can be mind-boggling and bewildering. This body is a powerful mechanism. Madhalesh. Okay, thanks, Prabhu. Makes sense. Now I know that Brahma is activated and making me understand better. And Indra is helping me type this message. And the sun is helping me see whether or not it's correct spelling. And now I'll never see things the same ever again. Wow, my mind is blown. One this alone. So, as we mentioned, every faculty is in charge or is controlled by a certain demigod. So yes, it's amazing. And here's the thing, right? So yes, your thinking is great, because now, as I'm functioning in this material world, I understand that I'm not functioning in isolation. For anyone who thinks they're functioning in isolation, they're illusioned. So your message is a clear sign that you're able to absorb what has been shared, and the demigods, Brahma, Indra, Surya, are all now sanctioning what you have written, because they got the sanction from the super soul due to your karmic reaction or karmic credits that you can do this, and then the message comes through. Obviously, there's speech and there's all the faculties, right? So the point now is we need to take it a little further. So your message is brilliant. Your message, your reflection shows that you heard, you have understood. Now, my next question is, you need to take it a little further. What would be that little further? Anyone can share. What would be that little further? What would be that little further? Use the faculty to serve the Lord. Good. Appreciate the source of these faculties. Krishna. Yes. That's what the Bhagavatam is directing to. Do not forget that. Like one time they asked Srila Prabhupada, should we teach children about botany, botany, yes. How, plants, like in I'm sure in biology you did, you sow the seed and the seeds, got different parts of it growing out, and then small plant comes out, and then you got the top part and the bottom. It's like different parts of the plant. So they were asking Prabhupada, and then you got your flower, you got your filament, and you got your different parts of the flower. Now, should we teach children about this? Prabhupada said, yes, you should teach children all about this. But then you should also teach them, where did the seed come from? Who's put the potency in the seed, etc. Krishna. So yes, we should understand that there are there are personalities who are in between, sub-agents, but ultimately the reason the Bhagavatam is sharing this is because without the Hiranyagarbha, without the Virat Rupa, no demigods can exist. And without Garbhadaksai Vishnu, no Virat Rupa is there. Without Mahavishnu, no Garbhadaksai Vishnu is there. Without Sankarshan, no Mahavishnu is there. Without Balaram, no Sankarshan is there. Without Krishna, Balaram's expansion is not there. So ultimately, Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. Krishna is the ultimate shelter. Krishna is the ultimate truth. And that is what the Bhagavatam is trying to emphasize, direct us, so that when we now function in this world, when we see all our faculties controlled, governed ultimately by Krishna, then if Krishna is making all these arrangements because he loves us, why should we not surrender to him, give our life to him, and return back to our original, natural, loving relationship? Vantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Itai, Go Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol. So we will continue next week with the discussion between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.